Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Welcome to Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center. I'm so delighted you've joined us to celebrate Shabbat this evening, and also delighted to celebrate the becoming of Bat Mitzvah at long last of our good friend Sophia Culver. And I am so excited that you're here for this as well. A couple things you should know before we get started with our service. This is a musical community. We encourage you to sing along with us, and you might say, well, John, I can't sing along with you. I'm on mute. But that's okay. Sometimes that's the best way to sing, when you think nobody can hear you. And it's not just singing. If you have an instrument that you play or a table that you like to tap on, however you want to connect with this music, that is great. And even if we can't hear you, we can feel that you are there. So I highly encourage you to sing along with us and drum out a beat, even if it's just humming. That's good too. So in the service of that, we do have a prayer book. We have a Sidur Sim Shalom. Mine's got a little sticky note in it there. And this is Sim Shalom for Shabbat and festivals. If you're on Zoom and you don't have one of these, there's actually a link in the chat right now that you can click and access a virtual one. So now that we're all prepared, we know what we're in for, I'm going to ask you to help us usher in Shabbat with song, the song that we were humming when we started. This is a song about angels that we invite into our homes to come in and bless us and accompany us throughout Shabbat and to leave in peace when Shabbat is over. We're on Shalom Aleichem on page 13. Page 13, please join us.
Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh, Baruch Hu. Lachem L'Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh, Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Ni L'Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh, Baruch Hu. Tzechem L'Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh, Baruch Hu. Yalla laira, yalla laira, 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 yalla laira, 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 no. Laira, laira, yalla laira, 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 laira. Tzechem L'Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech
Even as we lift up our voices in song, we also increase the light in our homes and in our hearts by lighting the Shabbat candles. If we turn our attention to the chapel, there are some Shabbat candles there, and it's our custom that the family bless them, but it's also our new custom that people share the story of the candlesticks as well as they're being lit. This is a new tradition, so I turn your attention to the chapel, and whenever you all are ready.
Well, thank you for joining, and these are very special Shabbat candlesticks because they are a new set that were given to Sophia by her grandmother in honor of her bat mitzvah, and so these will always be the candles that were lit at her bat mitzvah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner
Shabbat Shalom.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Well done. Now, we are going to begin to, as I like to say, ascend the ladder toward Shabbat. The sages of Tzfat many years ago put together some psalms and some songs that were supposed to allow us to lift up out of the schmutz of the work week. That's the word they use, the schmutz. We rise up toward the holiness of Shabbat with a few songs to really get us in the mood to pray and to learn and to celebrate together, starting with the psalm Lechunu Ranana that's on page 15. Page 15.
Lechunu Ranana, Lechunu Ranana, Lechunu Ranana, l'Adonai. Lechunu Ranana, Lechunu Ranana, Lechunu Ranana, l'Adonai. Naria, Naria, Letzur Ishainu, Nekat Mafana Vetoda. Naria, Naria, Letzur Ishainu, Bismirot Naria Lo. Lechunu Ranana, Lechunu Ranana, Lechunu Ranana, l'Adonai. Lechunu Ranana, Lechunu Ranana, Lechunu Ranana, l'Adonai. Ki el gadol Adonai u melech gadol al kol Elohim, asher b'yado acheret. בואו נשתחווה ונחררה נברכה לפני אדוני עושנו כי אלוהינו אנחנו מלא. ארבעים שנה עקוד ודור ואומר תוהי לבבם והם לא ידעו דרך חגי אשר נשבעתי והפי אם יבואון אל מנוחתי. איי 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 Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Oy, ay, 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 ay. Ya la 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 la. Ay, 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 ay. Ya la 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 la. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. ברכו שבו מסרו יום ליום ישועתו יספרו בגויים כבודו וכל העמים נפלאותיו כי גדול אדוני הוא מהולל מאוד נורא הוא על כל אלוהים יאיר יאיר יאיר
We continue with a version of Lecha Dodi. This is something we've been trying out lately. And just to give you a little bit of introduction, Lecha Dodi, again, like those who ordered this part of the prayer service, the Kabbalists of Tzfat wrote this original composition. And it really shows us how they felt when Shabbat was entering. It was like that feeling of being a guest at a wedding, where everybody stands up and looks down the aisle, and the bride and groom are entering this space, and just that feeling of anticipation and also celebration of someone you love as a wedding guest finding more love in the world. And that's why we say to Shabbat, Lecha Dodi, come my beloved, let's celebrate together. We're going to be on page 22, page 22.
Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לא תבושי ולא תקרבי ומה תשתוכחי ומה תהמי בך יחסו עניי ימי ונבנתה הרהלתי לה together Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה one more time Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה והיו לי משיסה שעושייך ורחקו כל מבלייך יסיס עלייך אלוהייך כי ימסוס חתן על כלה together Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה ימין ושמאל יפרוצי ואת אדוני תריצי על יד איש פרצי ונשמחה ונגילה הולך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת לקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת לקבלה בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצולה תוך אמוני העם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה. Try that again one more time together. לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה. Last time. לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה.
Before I call our next honor, I want to make a clarification on a prior honor when we had the candle lighting. I was so excited by those new candlesticks. I forgot to name the people who were lighting them. We had Oreya Bar Simentov, we had Megan Clemens, we had Julie Culver, and last but not least, and certainly not this week, Sophia Culver was there also. So with that, I want to move on to the next honor. We conclude this part of our service, not the whole service, stick around. We conclude the Kabbalat Shabbat service with a special psalm just for Shabbat. If you have a prayer book, it's going to be on page 23, and it is going to be led for us by Hannah and Caitlin Bassi, cousins of the Bat Mitzvah. So Psalm for Shabbat, page 23.
A psalm for Shabbat. To acclaim Adonai, to sing your praise, exalted God. To affirm your love each morning and your faithfulness each night. To the music of the lute and the melody of the harp.
Your works, Adonai, make me glad. I sing with joy of your creation. How vast of your works, Adonai.
Your designs are beyond our grasp. The thoughtless cannot comprehend. The foolish cannot fathom this. The wicked may flourish, springing up like grass, but their doom is sealed, for you are supreme forever.
Your enemies, Adonai, your enemies shall perish. All the wicked shall crumble. You have greatly exalted. I am in fragrant oil. I have seen the downfall of my foes. I have heard the despair of my attackers.
The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. They shall grow tall like a cedar in Lebanon. In the house of Adonai, they will thrive in the courts of our God.
They shall bear fruit, even in old age. They shall be ever fresh and fragrant.
To proclaim Adonai is just my rock, in whom there is no flaw. Thank you.
Beautifully done. So much like many prayers we have, there's a song about it. So we're going to share the same prayer, so beautifully led just now, with a song version of Psalm for Shabbat, Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat. Please join in if you know this one, hum along if you don't. Page 23.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון. Try that again. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך באמונתך בלילות, עלי אסור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון לכינור. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון. כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך ומעשה ידיך ומעשה ידיך ארנן. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני מעולם קומה מחשבותיך, מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני מעולם קומה מחשבותיך. יא אליי אליי יא אליי יא אליי יא אליי יא אליי יא אליי יא אליי. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Thank you again for joining us at Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center. Sophia and I drew straws, and we decided she's going to give the sermon tomorrow. I'm going to give the sermon tonight. I want to talk a little bit about our Torah portion, very little bit about our Torah portion, because Sophia has something, if I can spoil it, incredible for you all tomorrow. So please tune back in. I'm going to say stuff too. So there is in this week's Torah portion lots of rules. Let's say this is Judaism. Welcome to the club. There are lots of rules. Some of them are amazing. Some of them are helpful. Some of them are onerous. Some of them are dreadful. And yet, they're all ours. And I accept that. And I'll tell you a little bit more about why. But first, a tangent. This week, we have been counting the Omer. In fact, this is the 5th week that we have been counting the Omer. Can you believe it's already been almost 5 weeks since Pesach, and only a couple of short weeks more before Shavuot, but again, let's not spoil it. And each week that we've been counting the Omer, we've been talking about a different attribute of the Holy One. And the Kabbalists of Sfat that I've spoken about a couple of times tonight, because they gave us this beautiful service so far, also had ideas about cosmogony. Right? They also had ideals about metaphysics and the nature of the universe and the nature of God when they dared contemplate God. And they notice these divine attributes like kindness, like judgment, like balance, like patience. And these are not just divine attributes, but also divine exemplars, because they are attributes that we can embody as well. And this week, we've been talking about the attribute of hod, which in modern Hebrew means something like glory or splendor. In their discussions, it took on the nature of acceptance. And acceptance is easy, and acceptance is really, really not. It's easy insofar as acceptance feels passive. It feels like, oh, you don't have to do anything about it, I just accept it, right? Come what may. But sometimes acceptance is contrary to our nature. Sometimes acceptance feels downright un-American. Or any people who consider themselves rugged individualists, right? Creators of change, healers of the world, even. How do you heal a world that you accept? And I'll say we're missing the point just a little bit, because acceptance of the world as it is necessary to building the world that can be. Acceptance is understanding it for its reality, not romanticizing it. Accepting that there are good things about the world that don't need our griping, don't need our grief, and are just fine the way they are. Because that saves a lot of time for the stuff that we actually have to work on. And that's why I think acceptance is so important, even when it feels unnatural. Been thinking a lot about that this week, as this community has been thinking a lot about how we move toward being in the same room again, which feels weird to say it even. I accept that there are things that I love that may never come back. At least, not soon. Kiddush buffets, for example, may be a while. But I accept that so that we can pray together in the same space. I have learned to accept over the last year that there are people in my family whom I love who will never, ever vote the way I vote. I don't know if anybody else has a family like that. Maybe it's just me. I accept that about them because I also know they accept me despite the fact that I will never vote how they do. I don't accept bumper stickers from them. I do accept pimento cheese sandwiches at a family gathering. I am from the South. I do brag about that a lot. I'm sorry. I accept that there are parts of the Torah that I love. There are parts of my Torah that command things which I find abominable. I accept that about the Torah. I accept that about myself. And in accepting that, I join a long line of sages who look at parts of the Torah like, well, if your child is rebellious, as parents, you should definitely take him to the town square and stone him to death. And almost as serious, never farm two types of crops next to each other. I accept that about my Torah because it also says, don't stand idly by the blood of your neighbor. I also have a Torah that says, love your neighbor as yourself. And I accept the responsibility that the rabbis did for looking at parts of the Torah and saying, well, maybe they just put that there so that we could gain virtue by disagreeing with it. And again, not to spoil anything, but please tune in tomorrow to hear Sophia's Josh on the same kind of thing, because it's important. Accepting is not just about standing by while the world rolls over you. There is also accepting responsibility. Tomorrow, Sophia will accept in her hands what looks and feels very much like a thin wool shawl. But you know, and I know, and her parents know, and I know she knows, that she's accepting the mantle of her tradition. She will accept in her hands what is something made of madder, a parchment scroll covered in velvet. And she's also accepting her whole family history going back thousands of years. So as this week, as you look at the world and you see things that you cannot and should not accept, think of the things that you can accept so that you can focus on the things you can't. Acceptance is powerful. It's about thanking God for what we love and forgiving God for what we don't. It's about allowing us to focus on what we can do to change and what we must do. This is our calling. This is our challenge. And I accept it. Shabbat Shalom. And thank you for joining us at PJTC. We're going to continue with our evening prayer service here in just a moment. It's going to begin with our call to prayer, the Baruch, which if we can go to the chapel, the Baruch is going to be led by our good friend Sophia Culver. As we rise and face the ark, we're on page 28, page 28.
Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed.
As we continue in the middle of that paragraph, Sophia, you might turn around. Go ahead.
Uma'avir yom u'mevi laila, umavdil ben yom u'vein laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamidim loch aleinu, le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch Shemo.
Hama'ariv aravim.
Amen. You may be seated if you wish. We've just blessed God for the light that God fills our life with. We now bless God for God's constant love. Ahavat Olam, page 29.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Afta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadata Al ken Adonai Eloheinu v'shochveinu ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בלבי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגה יומם ולילה נגה
יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל.
Amen. We go to the chapel for Sophia to lead us in the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, bechol levacha, uvchol nafshecha, uvchol meodeha, ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ela, asher anochi metzavecha. Hayom alevavecha, veshinantam levanecha, vedibartam veshivtecha beitecha, uvleftecha avaderech, ushochbecha uvkumecha, ukshartam leot al yadeha, vehayu letortafot bein einecha, uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha,
Well done. We continue in the middle of page 30 at your own pace, and we'll get back together in just a moment. We go back to the chapel and join together at the top of page 31. Page 31.
Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemur, daber el bnei Yisrael ve'amarta alehem, v'asu lahem tzitzit al kanfei bigdehem ledortam, ve'natnu al tzitzit hakanaf petil techelet, ve'haya lachem letzitzit uritem oto, uzkartem et kol mitzvot Adonai, va'asitem otam ve'lo taturu acharei levavhem ve'acharei einehem asher atem zonim achareihem leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim l'olechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzei etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim v'hiyot lahem l'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem, Amen.
Well done. We continue at the top of page 32. Page 32.
מלכות ורצון קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים ובני ישראל לכנו שירה ושמחה רבה ויאמרו כולם. Let's join together in the middle of the page with מי כמוך. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נור התהילות אוסף אלה, נור התהילות אוסף אלה. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נור התהילות אוסף אלה, נור מלכותך ראו בניך בוקר היום לפני משה ומרים זה לי אנו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונברך יפד אדוני את יעקב בעלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גל ישראל.
Amen. We turn our attention to page 33. Page 33, this is a prayer called Hashkivenu, and we also turn our attention to Neil and Kathleen, who are family friends who are going to lead us in this.
Good. Protect us with your gift of peace by helping us to overcome temptation.
When we are weak, sustain us. When we despair, open our hearts to joy.
Shelter us in your embrace of peace when we are caught by conflict or desire.
When we are torn, heal us. When we are tormented, touch us with tranquility.
Cherish our fragmented lives. Make our lives whole again through integrity.
When we deceive, turn us to you. When we corrupt, capture our hearts anew.
Protect us from ourselves. When we falter, help us to conquer the enemy within.
When we blunder, restore us. With compassion, teach us that peace is based on your truth.
Well done, Neil and Kathleen. We are now going to turn to the flip side of the page because we've got a song about it, the same blessing in Hashkivenu. Please sing along if you know this one, and like I said, hum along if you don't.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים ושמור את צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם. Together. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים שלום שלום Shalom, 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 shalom. Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch Shemo.
הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל. ועל ירושלים.
Amen. Please join us on page 34. Page 34.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת שבת לדורותם ברית עולם אוי 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 בייני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש.
Middle of page 34, we go to the chapel for the Chatzi Kaddish.
Yikara ve'yikara shumei rabba
Amen.
ve'alma divra kirte ve'amlich malchute v'chayechonu yom echon uchayechol beit Yisrael bagala bagala uvizman kari v'meru
Amen. Yehi Shmei
Shira
Rabba.
Bamevora, the Olamula Meomaya,
Yitbarach.
Ipara Veishaba, Vipa Arbitramam Vitnase, Vitadar, Vitale, Vitalal, Shmei Kudasha,
בריחו
Le'ela Mikol Berchata, Veshirata, Tushbechata Venehemata, Dami Rambelma, Vimeru.
Amen.
יישר
We
כוח.
all rise together and face the ark. On page 35b begins a prayer called the Amidah. It's our standing prayer for Shabbat evening, and it is, in the evening, it is a silent prayer, or better, a private prayer. So I invite you to look at page 35b, pray the words from our tradition. They are strong, they will hold you up. You can also pray the words of your heart. And so we'll take a few moments for private prayer. When you're finished with your prayer, you may be seated, and we'll all get back together in a couple of moments.
יהיו לרצון
אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צרורי וגואלי אמן. עושה שלום שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל אמן אמן. עושה שלום שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. ועל כל ישראל
We conclude the Amidah with Sophia leading us in the Kaddish Shalem, which is on page 48. Page 48.
Yikara v'yikara shemei rabba.
Amen.
Ve'alma divra kirte, ve'alnich malchute, ve'chayachon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol be'Yisrael, v'galal v'zman kari ve'imeru.
Amen. Shmei Rabba Mevorach, Leolam Al Me'al Maya Yitbarach.
Yitbara v'yishtabat v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudasha.
Brichu.
Le'ela mikol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nehemata, damiram b'yama v'imeru.
Amen.
Tikabos lahon uva'ut hon, dechol Yisrael, kodam avuhon divishmaya v'imeru.
Amen.
Yehe shlaba rabba min shamaya, v'hayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imeru.
Amen.
Ose shalom bimramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imeru.
Amen. And before we begin to end our service with Aleinu, because it is Omer, we've got some counting to do. So I'm going to hand it over to Cantor Ruth to tell us what we counted yesterday before we count tonight. We're on page 55.
So if you want to join us in the prayer book, we are on page 55. Yesterday, we counted 33 days of the Omer. So when we get to that part, you'll know what to do. Let's join together.
לשם ייחוד קודשא בריחו שכינתי הנני מוכן ומזומן לקיים מצוות עשה לשם ייחוד קודשא בריחו ושכינתי הנני מוכנה ומזומנת לקיים מצוות עשה של ספירת העומר של ספירת העומר של ספירת
שבתות תמימות תהיינה, 7 שבתות תמימות תהיינה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו על ספירת העומר, על ספירת העומר, על ספירת העומר, על ספירת העומר.
Our counting is at the bottom third of page 58, page 58.
היום 34 יום, שהם 4 שבועות ו6 ימים לעומר.
Today we count 34 days of the Omer. That is 4 weeks and 6 days of the Omer. And now I'll ask you to return to page 51. Page 51. We're about to open the Ark for Aleinu, and the honor of Ark opening belongs to Itzik and Annie Bars. Itzik and Annie Bars. Let's go to the chapel. I believe Itzik's in there, and Annie. Are they there?
Yeah.
All right, we don't have to do a Zoom screen for this. So I'll ask everyone to rise and face the Ark as the Ark is being opened. And in a moment, we're going to pray the Aleinu on page 51.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. על כן נקווה לך אדוני אלוהינו לראות מעליו תפארתו. כי המלכות שלך היא, וללמיה תמלוך בכבוד, ככתוב את תורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא.
Please remain standing while the Ark is closed. Well done, Annie and Itzik. You may be seated. This is true of many Jewish occasions of celebration. Even as we gather in joy, we are most acutely aware of those who are no longer with us. In the coming week here at PJTC, we are marking the yahrzeit, and that is the anniversary of the passing of Albert Joseph Wynne, Benjamin Severall, Bernard Moskowitz, Charles Edward Goodstein, Deborah Strasser, Fanny Nell, Fern Chesson, George Grossman, Goldie Ehrenstein, Harold Golden, Harry Friedenberg, Harry Cohen, Harry Levine, Aaron Lingill, Israel Levine, Joseph Dinnisfeld, Leonard Rosenzweig, Lillian Davidson, Lillian Lash, Louis Altschuler, Mario Kigelman, Martin Klein, Mary Socher, Michael Mark, Murray Schneider, Nate Paul, Pearl Essenston, Richard Berkman, Richard Hugh Solomon, Rose Berman, Ruth Rosenberg, Sally Lipser Korobkin, Sarah Siegel, Sheldon Weinstein, Shirley Janet Grossman, Sophia Friedman, Thelma Berman, Victor Schein, Zelda Rohrman. Our community is also in mourning for the loss of Jack Boris, who was the father of Amy and David and Janet Boris. Jack passed away this past Wednesday, the 27th. There will be a Shiva Minyan on Sunday, hosted by Anshe Emmett Memorial Temple in New Brunswick, New Jersey, but we're able to join on Zoom at 3 p.m. Pacific time. So we just sent out a notice about that. We pray that Jack's memory be a blessing. Hamakom Yenachem, may God comfort and strengthen their family at this time. I also want to just spend a moment honoring those who yesterday were gathering to celebrate Lag BaOmer in Mount Meron in Israel, and there was an accident whereby people were trampled or collapsed in the midst of this celebration, and 38 people celebrating their Jewishness and joy unfortunately lost their lives. 38 people were killed, many dozens more injured, and so we keep them in our hearts and in our prayers. We raise their names in honor, and we wish comfort for their family. I'll ask that if you are observing a yahrzeit or in mourning, that you join us on page 52 for the Mourner's Kaddish. If you're in mourning or observing yahrzeit, please rise for the Mourner's Kaddish. Let's pray together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ba'alma divra kirute v'yamlich malchute b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehe shmei Rabba mivorach leolam u'l'olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitmarmam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. You may be seated. As also happens at Jewish occasions, we move from kavod, from honor and heaviness, to simcha, to joy and celebration. And this particular moment of celebration, we have presentations of gifts for the bat mitzvah. So let's go to the chapel here for a second. I don't know if you've got a gift or a goodie bag around there somewhere that you could show off to folks.
There are 3 separate out of the box, literally.
So don't open them yet. Don't open them yet. We have to present them first. There are going to be presentations by the USY, our youth group, the Sisterhood, and the Men's Club, starting with Bryce Weinberger, who's going to make a presentation on behalf of the USY.
Shabbat Shalom and Mazel Tov Sophia. My name is Bryce Weinberger, and I'm speaking on behalf of USY tonight. Sophia, I want to congratulate you and say you're doing amazing. I can't wait to hear and see more tomorrow. I've known Sophia since she was a baby and saw her when our families would get together to hang out. Sophia and I have spent many Saturday afternoons waiting for our brothers to finish their soccer games. We did art projects and made rainbow loom bracelets or drew pictures. I spent many car rides with Sophia on the way to Hebrew school, talking about how we would possibly manage to stay awake after getting up early on the weekend. She mostly looked forward to seeing friends during Sunday school. As part of Sophia's mitzvah project, she is teaching skills to Girl Scouts at Camp Mariposa. We have a shared experience because I also went to that camp for a year and remember meeting friends and amazing counselors. Sophia is also mentoring and tutoring students in elementary school, which is a great skill to have. If you wanted to, you would make a great teacher's assistant at PJTC Sunday School in the future years. Given the pandemic and virtual learning, this process might be different than you had originally expected. Nevertheless, I'm glad you're making amazing friends and memories throughout this journey. Hold on to those memories because you will remember them and think back to your pre-bat mitzvah days for many years. Keep making memories and having fun. This ties into what I'm here to present tonight, Bechol Echad, which should be a small book, a songbook. This is a USY songbook that we use for regional and sometimes local youth group events. It includes many uplifting songs we use for Ruach, which is the crazy and hyper part of the moment. It also includes slower yet beautiful melodies we use for Sloach. I think you would enjoy both parts. So next time you see your friends or attend a fun temple event, this book can be your guide. I hope to see you at many more future USY events. Mazel Tov, Sophia.
Thank you.
Yeshkoach. It is now my honor to present Nancy Carlton, who will be presenting a gift on behalf of our sisterhood.
Sophia, within every celebrated ending, a new opportunity beckons. On behalf of the Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center Sisterhood, I am pleased to present you with the gift of a Kiddush Cup. That's the box you have right there with the candy on top. As you sip from this Kiddush Cup on Shabbat and Jewish holidays, let it be a reminder of your accomplishments in reaching this very special occasion. And may this gift be a reminder that within every ending, there lies a new beginning that beckons us to reach out and explore. May you continue to explore your Jewish values and heritage from this day forward. Mazel Tov.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. And last but not least, I'd like to hand it over to Jack Singer to make a presentation on behalf of our men's club.
Sophia, congratulations on reaching this important milestone in your life. Becoming bat mitzvah here at PJTC is a life-changing experience in a good way, of course. Without a doubt, after services tomorrow, you'll feel a great sense of relief, and you'll also feel a great sense of accomplishment, pride, and joy. We hope these feelings will follow you always as you continue on your life's journey. On behalf of the Men's Club, I'd like to present you with this yad, and we hope that you use it tomorrow as you chant from the Torah and become a bat mitzvah. So mazel tov to you and your family, and may you go from strength to strength.
Thank you.
Yeshkoach, Jack, well done. And now it is my honor to say we're about to end our service as we began it, and that is in joyous song. So we'll invite you to rise, to sing along, and when we're done, stick around for Kiddush, would you please?
עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו ועל כולם. עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו ועל כולם. שלום עלינו ועל כל העולם, שלום, שלום. Shalom Aleinu ve'akol ha'olam. Salam, shalom. Try that again, together. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'akulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Shalom
Good Shabbos, everybody.
shalom.
So what's happening next is we're going to go ahead and roll some announcements. If our Zoom coordinators have the announcements available to show, that'd be great while we get the Kiddush set up. If not, that'll be okay too. But if you have those announcements, go ahead and roll them. If you don't see the announcements, there's all sorts of wonderful stuff going on here at all times. Oh, here it comes. And if you want to know more about any of those things that are happening or you need links to them, please reach out during the week. And I'm going to go grab some washing stuff. You could also take this time to go grab a Kiddush Cup, a glass of wine, a celebration beverage of your choice, and join us right back here for Kiddush. Outstanding. If it wasn't Shabbat, I would call that a commercial break. But that's all the great stuff that's going on here. Now, I would like us to turn our attention to the chapel. What do you say, Cantor, the chapel?
Yeah, so I want to make sure that they have the Kiddush cups there. Sophia, you need to hold on the big Kiddush cup. And the rest of the gang have their... Very nice. Let's join together. ויהי ערב ויהי בוקר יום השישי, ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו, אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. Anyone there want to continue with the Kiddush?
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן.
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו את מצוותיו וחצבנו, ושבת קודשו באהבה ורצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית. כי הוא יום תהילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת, עם כל העמים, בשבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון, הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת.
Amen. לחיים.
Shkoach. Now, if it's anybody's custom to wash your hands before Motzi, now is a good time to do it. If you left your washing stuff someplace else, I'll be thinking of you while I do it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim. Now we'll go back to the chapel for Motzi, and I believe Jamie Bar Simentov is going to help us out.
Yeah, you guys are in charge of Motzi. Come on, don't start fighting right now.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, המוציא לחם מן הארץ. אמן.
Shabbat shalom, grow up peace.
Shabbat shalom. And to everybody out there, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much for joining us for this celebration of Shabbat and celebration with the Culver family. I'll encourage you one more time to come back tomorrow at 9:30 as we sing and learn and celebrate together further. I'll say for all the folks who joined us on Facebook or YouTube, very nice to see you.